This is Wholesaling Houses Elite, the no fluff and BS podcast with tips and tricks to help you become an elite wholesaler. Our guest will spill the beans on what it takes to be the best.
Hey, what's going on, Wholesale Elite members? This is Maxwell, and I am here with a guest for a special podcast. This is a little bit different than we're used to, only because this is Kareem. Everybody welcome Kareem to the podcast. Say what's up, Kareem.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
And this is a little different because Kareem just closed his absolute first deal. And him and I jumped on a consultation call a few months ago, I think it was. And after he closed his first deal, he's like, listen, I closed my first deal. I need some guidance on what to do now that I actually have real money to run my business. What do I do next? And I said, you know what, Kareem, let's not jump on a phone call. Let's put this on a podcast because I feel like there's going to be more than just yourself in this current situation right now, that now you've got money in your pocket. Now you've closed your first deal. You've understand how it goes. You've got through some of the fears. I think this conversation can benefit a lot of people, and that's why I decided to do it right here with you on the podcast. So, Kareem, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to Wholesaling Houses Elite. Tell me about, first, let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning. Tell me how you found out about wholesaling, and how you decided you were going to do it.
All right. First off, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to bring me on. But I found out about wholesaling around late March of last year. Okay. On Instagram from a guy named Mark Whitten. Mm-hmm. He was going over wholesaling. So I was going through his videos and whatnot. He said, and he was showing students coming out with large lump sums of money. I'm talking 10, 20, 30,000. So it sparked my interest, and I wanted to know, how could I do this myself? Mm-hmm. So after that, I kept watching the videos. He presented a program that I joined. I joined the program. It was a small group. They taught you all the basics of wholesaling, how to market, get the deal out of contract, the whole ARV formula and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I joined that, and I put it into action. It was pretty costly at first. So as far as
like your upfront training cost?
Yeah, my upfront training cost was pretty costly.
What'd you spend?
About $2,000.
So about $2,000. And yeah. How old are you?
23.
So you're 23, and you find out about wholesaling through Instagram, right?
Yes.
Mark Whitten. I haven't met Mark Whitten. I recently discovered him because he was on The Breakfast Club, and I watched YouTube quite a bit. So he was on there. I discovered who he was. Mark Whitten. If you watch this, follow me on Instagram, and we'll talk and chop it up, and we'll do some things together. But so that's cool. So you paid $2,000 for your training, which is good. So you made that step. You made that leap. Now, this might be a little personal. Were you working when you had this $2,000?
I was working.
Where were you working at, if you don't mind me asking?
I was working at a hospital.
Okay. So you were making decent amount of money, I guess, for a 20-something-year-old, right?
Yeah, it was decent. Gets the bills paid.
Okay. So you were making an average living. You wanted to do better for yourself. You found out about wholesaling. It piqued your interest, and boom, you slapped down $2,000. $2,000 cash, or you put it on a credit card?
That was a credit card.
So, listen, don't be ashamed, because this is what everybody does. So you took the leap of faith. You take out this credit card and you say, whoosh, right? And you're like, oh my God, how long ago was this?
This was, I joined the program May of last year.
So we're now in May of 2018. You're talking May of 2017, right? Mm-hmm. So you now just closed your first deal. I think last week you sent me a text message.
Yes.
And I looked at the text message and I was like, holy crap, right? So that's cool. We're not going to talk about how much you made so far, but you learned about wholesaling, and tell me the journey. I'm guessing you did this on and off over the last year.
Yeah, I wasn't as consistent as I should have been.
Mm-hmm.
I started off doing direct mail, and I saw how costly that was, so I kind of had to pull back from it and just regroup and see, what's another method I could try. So I did, driving for dollars. I don't really come across anything in my area, but I did get a reply back from a direct mail campaign that I did for a fire damage property I found. I had that under contract for a while, but I couldn't get it closed because I couldn't find a buyer to agree because the whole house was burnt out.
Did you
So
did you pay too much for it? Did you put it on a contract for too much?
I believe I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's usually the main reason why you can't find the buyers, because you got it underpriced. You got it too expensive, right? Because
Yes.
And what was it? What did you get it on a contract for?
I was under contract for
Okay.
20,000. The whole everything just
It was a
needed to be-
teardown.
Yeah, basically.
So maybe if you would have got it on a contract for 10, you could have made something work.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So it's just basically the deal. So you get a fire damage property under contract. You try to sell it. You can't sell it. You're discouraged now.
hmm
So what happens? You keep going or you give up?
When I couldn't close that deal, I kind of took a break again for another few months,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "This is harder than I thought," because I couldn't close that one and everything. I had a signed contract and everything, so I pulled back. I just kept working. Then I was like, "Let me go at it again and send another direct mail campaign," and I did that, and I got 2 leads, but those fell through because the seller wanted an enormous amount of earnest money, which I couldn't provide at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and the other situation was the same thing. So those are my big situations where it just made me discourage it, and I wanted to pull back for a little bit.
So you send out direct mail again.
Yeah.
You get 2 leads. You talk to them. You start negotiating. They want a bunch of earnest money, and you're still working at the hospital, and you can't do it.
No.
Yeah. So you give up again, or do you keep going?
I took another break, and then I took another break then, and then I came across you on YouTube. I came across you, but it was one of those videos on the sides regarding wholesaling. So I clicked on it. I watched one of your videos. I think it was your Facebook ads video. So, and then then came across that I could book a call with you. So I got my credit card out again. I was like, let me book a call with Max. And because I see you doing great things, I was like, maybe he could guide me on what to do and the proper steps to take from there on. So
we jump on a call. I can't remember. Did you book an hour or a half an hour?
It was a half an hour.
And for the record, guys, I don't do those calls anymore because they're just too time consuming, and I thought it was a good way to reach out to people, but it's just singular. It's too one-on-one. But beside the point. So we talk for a half an hour. You tell me you're in what market? What market are you in?
I'm in Port St. Lucie, Florida.
And you're telling me, you're like, I can't find deals out here. And I'm like, you are absolutely crazy, because I know people that are crushing it in Port St. Lucie.
Yeah, I only came across one other wholesaler here. I'm pretty sure there's more, but that's the only one I met at a real estate at a RIA meeting.
Yeah.
So I don't really know too many wholesalers around here.
I think one of the guys that run Wholesaling Inc. is in Port St. Lucie, and that's another good podcast to listen to. But so you came across, you got 2 leads out of this direct mail campaign, which you're probably still using your credit card at this point, right?
Yes.
And I'm guessing you're slowly paying it off with your paycheck as well, too. No, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So now you're discouraged, and then you book a call with me. And what advice did you get from the call with me?
The advice I got, you really told me, really get to know your county and how it works and how it operates, when the taxes go, the foreclosures, learn that whole process. You put me on the call rail, skip tracing, which I had no clue about until I booked a call with you. So I took all of those and I put them all together, and it landed me to get my deal.
So now let's tell me about your deal. Tell me about what type of marketing you did to find it.
Okay, so for this deal, it's crazy. I did driving for dollars, and
explain, because a lot of people that watch this channel or listen to the podcast, they're newbies. What is driving for dollars?
Driving for dollars is when you get in your car, you go into a random place in your neighborhood, You look for houses with high grass, probably like, damaged windows, falling apart. It's just unkept property.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to go get that address, bring that back, look it up on the property appraiser website and see who owns it. And, either you're going to send them a direct mail piece or a skip trace and code call them.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So you found a property that had maybe high grass. What triggered you on this property for you to be like, okay, this is a good one?
Well, this property, it was in a neighborhood. The neighborhood was well kept, but it was just this one house. The grass was high, had no driveway, no walkway, and a piece of the glass in the front of the house was broken. So I parked my car. I went up to it. I seen it had code violations, and also was behind on taxes. After I looked up the property information, so I was like, this is something. It could be either be a fix or flip, or I could try to wholesale it.
Got it.
I won't wholesaling side.
So how'd you get a hold of the owner?
I got a hold of him. Oh man! First of all, the property's in his LLC, so I had to go to Sunbiz, look the property up, find the owner. Then I skip traced him using white pages. A list of numbers came up, and got in contact with him. And I asked him, "Hey, are you interested in selling your property?" He said he is because he just didn't have enough time to finish it.
So hold on, Kareem. So before you get ahead. You said the property was in an LLC name. So what that is, the property was in a business name, and
Yes.
You can't skip trace businesses per sense the same way you can skip trace a human, right?
Yes.
So you went to your state's Secretary of State website, which in Florida is sunbiz.com or something like that, or sun.biz, whatever. So you went there, you looked up the LLC based on the tax records. You then see who's the registered owner or who is the member of the LLC. Then you find that person's name, and this is where you can actually start a traditional skip tracing, right? And since you're low on a budget, you said, heck, let me try white pages. Boom, this guy pops up because he's probably a business guy, right? His information pops up. You give him a call. He says, hey, are you interested in selling? And then he spills his guts. What does he say to you?
He said, yes, he's interested in selling, but the price he wanted, I thought it was a little high. He wanted $30,000, which was a lot. Since I found out how much the code violations were and the taxes, I feel like it was a pretty high amount he wanted for it. So,
yeah. So that's interesting. So you now are at you call the guy. He wants $30,000. I think you then text me because this is after we get off, and you say, listen, I got a house. It's got all these problems. I said, listen, do some research and find out what he owes to the county, right? The code violations, the taxes, and you need to subtract that from like the actual, you need to add that to the repair costs, right?
yes.
So you did that. And now at this point, you're negotiating with him. So he says he wants 30. What do you say to him?
Well, I go back and I asked him, would you go, lower than 30? He said no, because he was going based off the lot alone, because the property, the way the property was, it was just a shell with the steel beams, because he didn't finish the inside of it. So I thought he'll let it go for lower, but he was stuck on that price. So I couldn't really get him to negotiate lower than that.
So essentially, this guy started a construction project, ran out of money or whatever the situation was, and only had basically studs up and no walls, and he wanted $30,000 for the house. What did you find out the ARV might be for this property?
I found out the ARV of the property would be all fixed up around 190 to 200,000.
So around 200,000 was the ARV, but it needed an entire house.
Yes.
So you negotiate with this guy, and what happens?
So, all right. So this is the crazy part. So I actually, after the first negotiation, I let it go because I feel like this is a lot of money.
This is a while ago, because I remember you texted me a while ago and we started talking about this, and then you bring this back up. I'm like, how'd this lead come back?
So yeah, this was back in March. So from March all the way up until the end of April, I left it alone. So I was cleaning up. I found his number again, and I reached back out to him again. So, and I called him. I said, hey, are you still interested in selling? He said, yes. And I said, would you do between 5 to 10,000? He said, no, that's a little too low. He said, I'll do 12. So I said, let me call my partner, and I'll call you back in 5 to 10 minutes. So I called him back, and he said, we agreed on 12. I drew up the contract, and I sent it to him. And he took a few days to sign it. That's the That's the part that caused a delay. But after that, I sent it out to my buyers list, and with like 10 minutes, I had somebody contact me, said they're interested.
Wow. So you negotiate the house. You let the deal sit. You find his number while you're cleaning up your room. You call him back. You negotiate it. You get it under contract for $12,000. Now, where did you get your buyers list from?
I got my buyers list literally from, like, people on Facebook. They would put, any buyers in South Florida. So I just took all their emails. I put it in a MailChimp, and I created an ad, and I just blasted out to like the 60 buyers I had.
So you have no relationship with these people. You find their emails online. You blast it out, and you get somebody in 10 minutes giving you a call.
10 minutes.
So all right. So now this is the first time you're on the end with a buyer. What do you say to him?
I tell him I have this great property. It just needs to be fixed up. It has back taxes, code violations. He just tell me everything about the property, and I'm gonna go to my partner in the morning. So I give him all of that. Then the following morning, I text him again. I said, hey, did you talk to your partner? He said yes. So she agreed to it. So after that, I spoke to his partner. I told him everything, but I left out one more thing. The property was going to auction the following Monday.
And I remember you called me on this, and you said, should I tell them? I said, you have to tell them. Tell them everything.
So I told them that because they was wondering, why do you want such a quick closing? So I was just like, you know what? Let me just be honest, transparent with my buyers to do good business. So I told them that, and they literally put everything they was doing on pause and, to get the deal closed. Another thing is, I didn't have my own title company at the time. I went with theirs, which I know is, you want to control the deal. Mm-hmm. But they said, send the contracts over. I'll send it to my attorney. And they literally got title open within 24 hours, got the lien search. And literally, this happened on a Wednesday, and the deal closed on a Friday.
Boom. So that's amazing, man. Luckily, you were dealing with some honest buyers because they gave you everything. Now, this is the big thing. Tell me what your wholesale check was. No, before you even do that, how do you present this actual deal to your buyers? Now, you sent out the email. What do you tell them you're selling it for?
Actually, I really winged the whole thing. I put it out there for $50,000.
Okay. And they negotiated you down to what?
45.
And so at this point, you got to get an assignment signed, right?
Yes.
So they, at this point, know you're going to make how much money?
A little over $19,000.
Almost 20 grand. And they're okay with that?
Yes. They didn't complain. Nothing at all.
Boom. So they congratulations, by the way. Your first deal, you did $20,000. So how surreal was it? Because the text message, which I still have from you today, he sends me a text message, and I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's a wire, and it's $19,418.76, and he says, Max, I closed on a deal. I want to say thank you for all your advice and your motivation for keeping me going, but now that I have money, what the hell do I do? So that's why we're jumping on this podcast. I wanted to give everybody the backstory. And now let's move forward to what you have lined up next and what you plan on doing. And you got some questions for me, and I'm going to answer them as best as I can moving forward. So now you've got 19 grand in the bank. I'm hoping you paid some of your credit card back, right?
Oh, definitely.
Good.
First did.
Right. So what I would recommend for an amount that you should put aside and not touch is around 35% of that. And that's just for your marketing.
Okay.
All right. And if you could do more, then great. It just depends. You want to live as frugal as possible. Eat ramen and noodles until you get your next couple of deals, right?
Yes.
So now you've got some money in the bank. Your credit card's open again. What do you think is the best way for you to generate leads now? What is your plans?
I definitely do more driving for dollars. Mm-hmm. That's what I've been doing ever since. Cold calling definitely is definitely effective. I really need to get more leads because that's my biggest downfall right now.
So let's now this is pretend nobody's listening because this is just me and you, and that's how I want to do it because I want to give you advice here. let's reverse engineer your first deal. Okay. What list would they have showed up on?
Definitely tax delinquent and code violations.
Okay. All right. So tax delinquent and code violations, and you made 20,000, right?
Yes.
So guess what list you should probably be looking for again?
Tax delinquent and code violations.
Right. So
yes.
What we do is this thing called stacking list, right? Essentially, we go to the county and we ask for all tax delinquent. Have you had a good, I know you learned about it. Were you able to find that list?
Yes, I did find it. It's just the properties is slim. It's more vacant lots around here. So
Okay.
I really have to like scrub the whole list.
Vacant lots are good too, though. Vacant lots are good too, especially in South Florida. Okay, so now you've got now have you reached out and tried to get a code violation list?
It's online. So they told me the officer pointed me online. So the lien search, look it up, and I got a list of those too.
Okay. So what we do is I use this software called Property List Manager, which I'm going to put a link in this video below and in the show notes for this podcast. And basically what you want to do is you load your list, right? You put all of your tax delinquent list in one list. You put all your code violation lists in one list and any other list you have. And what it will do is show you how many times a property shows up on a list. So for example, it might say, 123 Main Street and the number 4, and you click on it, it's going to show you what 4 list it showed up on. You think that's a good person to call because they're on 3 or 4 of your list?
Definitely they are.
So list manager, I believe, is $100 a month, but it's totally worth it. And another thing that's cool about it, that every 6th day of the month, it checks against the properties you have in there and the USPS vacant list, and it shows you all of the properties that are actually vacant as well. So that's $100. So you want to do that. Let me see here. What others? So you definitely want to do that reverse engineering and that. And then I would just deep dive that and find out the most you can on that. Have you started looking into probates any?
I have looked into probates. They said that was online as well. I actually purchased it, but it's all jumbled up because it'll show the decedent, but it won't show like the PR or whatnot. Like it just scattered all over the
you
place.
watched those videos I sent you on it, right?
Yes.
Okay,
I have.
perfect. So just keep deep diving those things. Have you got like a system on how you handle your leads yet?
I don't have a CRM. I still use a yellow pad and pen and just keep and everything.
You might want to move it over to Excel. Okay.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say right now just jump into a CRM just because you got the money in the bank. I would say just move it over to an Excel and then do the follow up mentally. Set calendar notes and stuff like that, and calendar reflector dates in your calendar to follow up with this person on set date that you said. But I would really reverse engineer the actual the tax list and all that stuff like that, and jump on that. Now I'm going to get you back on cold calling, how we were doing before.
Yes.
Were you ever on the cold calling system I told you about?
Yes, I'm on there. I need to put more minutes.
Okay, so we need to get back on that. We need to get a big list, right? So we can get all of the absentee, all of the everything you basically have, and then we're gonna put that list in there, and we're gonna do the calls. Okay, we're gonna make the calls go, automatic, and you're gonna filter it back. You do have CallRail, right?
I have Google Voice. I don't have CallRail yet.
Get the CallRail, guy.
Okay.
Get it because you're gonna need it. It's so much better. It's $30 a month, and it's 10 numbers. Okay, so that's one thing I want you to splurge on, is get rid of the Google Voice number, or keep it if you've got advertising out there. And then we're going to use the CallRail numbers because it's much more. You can do a lot more with it. And if you're going to be using that cold calling program, you're going to want to actually have a CallRail account so you can track what's doing. Because we want to call in your market, we want to call about 5,000 or 6,000 numbers a week. Okay, that'll keep your phones ringing. That'll keep the call volume up. That'll give you enough leads to filter through. And then once you say, okay, I've got too much calls, then I'm going to hook you up with a CRM that can manage all the calls as they come in, and you can track your leads so you don't have any lead falls through. But everything I'm talking about is very minute. I want to put you on something that's going to be around $500-$600 a month budget to keep you going. All right. So we want to have that $500 to $600 a month budget. And then every now and then the budget can fluctuate to about $1,000 or so just on some new stuff. But the upfront, you're going to spend about $1,000 up front. And that $1,000 is probably going to be for some good data from ListSource. I'll work out. Data Zap, stuff like that. And then we'll move forward. But I think you're going to initially spend $1,000 up front, have a $500 or $600 a month budget, and I guarantee you I can create enough call flow for you to generate at least one deal a month, right? And that's where you're at right now, because how much were you making yearly before? If you don't, just put it out there. Put it out there.
Probably around 16 to 17,000.
Okay. So you made your entire, even though it took you a year to get this check, right? You made the effort you put in this. How much time and effort do you say you put into this deal in hours?
Probably 4.
Okay. So before your lunch break, you made 20,000.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So I want you to be responsible with this money, though. Don't change anything. Don't go out and buy anything lavish. I want you to keep what you're doing. Go set up your business bank account. Make sure your LLC is in place for your next deal, which you can do that right on sunbiz.com. That's easy, right? You just want some protection for yourself, and you want to be able to start getting tax write-offs as a business. But that's much deeper. So I think you're on the right path, man. I think you're in a situation where you can grow this. You now have the capital. You have a year's worth of salary right there. And I think you'll be able to do this business at, like I said, you're going to spend about $1,000 up front, getting some good information and leads. And then you're going to turn around and you're going to run this through a phone system. You're going to get some leads, and you're going to start making calls. Is there any questions like you've got that's burning you? I know I've put you off for a couple of days, but start rattling some questions if you have them.
Definitely the Cole Realty. I know I messaged you about it. I watched some of their videos, but I'm still kind of like confused on like how to use the program.
Yeah, so let me tell you about Cole Realty and how we use it, because I have two methods in my business. We have a wide method and a deep method. The wide method is basically where we cold call as many people as we can. They necessarily don't have to be on a list, or they can just be 55 and older with equity is just a random call. Absentee owners, just a random call. I call that the wide. What Cole Realty resource, if you were in the Wholesaling Houses Elite Facebook group, I got it where you can get it for like $1,000, I think it is, versus the $1,500. And what that is you pay the $9.99 for the entire year, and that gives you the entire state of Florida. And let's just say a neighborhood is a hot neighborhood right now, right? And then you just circle that entire neighborhood, or you put in a radius, and it pulls back the owner's numbers, and it pulls back their emails if available, right? And you can do what you want to do with that information. You're going to get the cell phone numbers, the house numbers. You can cold call them. But like I said, these people are not necessarily motivated. You're just targeting them because they live in this area. You're also going to get the emails. You can start an email campaign with that. But it allows you to get leads and leads in a sense that you're able to pinpoint an entire neighborhood, a zip code, whatever, and get these numbers and then put them in your call system and then call everybody, right? And then from that point, if your messaging is correct and you reach somebody at the right time and these stars align, you might find somebody that's on a code violation list or a tax delinquent list that you wouldn't have found otherwise just from a random phone call. So that's kind of the wide method, right? Should you jump on that right now? I would say hold off just a little bit, right? Hold off just a moment on that tool, and I'll tell you probably when it's the right time to get that.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
I know you got more questions than that.
And that is up as well. Is that considered a wide method as well?
So what we pull from DataZap is we get the 55 plus with at least 50% equity in the property, right? So it's going to be a lot of people down in Florida, especially in your Port St. Lucie market. What you're going to do is you're basically going to pull that data. You're going to tell it to give me 55 plus, certain price range of houses, right? Because you don't want to be pulling $1 million houses. Just say medium price, go 200 and below, between 50,000 and 200,000, 55 plus with equity in the property, at least 50%. What that's going to do is going to cost you 3 cents a record, and it's actually going to pull back a phone number with that as well. Now, here's the reality. You can get 5,000 numbers. You can call 5,000 people, and you can get not one deal, because essentially you just calling people that own a house that are older, which means they should be downsizing or they've paid off the property a little bit more and they got equity in it. So you're not necessarily shooting for a pain point. I really want you to focus on the taxes and the code list, and then start learning more about probate so you can actually do that, because you know what they say about Florida, you're in God's waiting room, so it's got to be a probate haven down there.
Yes, definitely. I'm trying to get more information like that daily, so that's my next target list right there, probate. Yeah,
go back and watch those videos again about probate so you can learn some more lingo and all that stuff like that.
Okay. Another thing is I have seen on your last video like regarding marketing, like how much, like now that I have something, would you advise me to spend monthly, just like, you know?
Yeah. Do you see bandit signs in your area?
Not really. It's rare.
Is it because they're highly illegal and they get taken down, or is it just people don't do it?
People don't really do it, and I have put some up before, and all of them were gone by the time I went to pick them back up. So
when did you put them out?
I have put bandit signs out probably like 3 weeks ago. I don't do it weekly, but I have put them out, you know, a good like 25 in like, you know, busy areas, and I went back and all of them were taken up.
And did you go back? So what day of the week did you put them out?
I put them out on Thursday night to Sunday, and like I probably got by like 3 or 4. That's about it. But the rest of them, they were gone.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take. Did we ever do a reverse search on the hottest zip codes in the in that actual? Did we ever do to see what the hottest zip codes are in Port St. Lucie market?
Using list source. Yeah, I did it myself. Yeah.
Okay. And did you put the signs in that area?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I put them in those areas.
Okay. So you put those in those exact zip codes?
Yes.
What I would say is, if you've got the tolerance, go buy on dirt cheap signs, go buy about 200 signs.
Okay.
Okay. And you want to make it a point to say, listen, I'm going to put out 30 signs every weekend. So from Friday until they go down, you're going to put them out. Don't worry about going to pick them back up. You're going to put a call rail number on there. Okay? Don't use your Google Voice. A call rail number. Put a call rail number because they can't track you. Put that down on there and use that number only for the bandit signs. That way you can track how good and how many calls you're getting for your marketing. But you only want to put it in those top 3 zip codes. Okay? So whatever those top 3 things that show the most cash sales, that's where you want to put them at, because you're basically going shopping at that point. So that's what I would recommend. You're going to do tax delinquent sales, okay? And then you're going to look for the tax delinquent list, the code violation list. You're going to learn more about probate. Okay? And then you're going to drop some bandit signs, around 20 to 30 every week, religiously. Every Friday, 2 a.m., put the signs out.
2 a.m., okay.
Right? Go late at night. That way it gives you the longest time that most city workers won't be there. Be careful where you put them. Put them in high traffic areas, in and out of Lowe's, Home Depot, the most busiest street in those zip codes. Put them there. Do them late at night so you can stop wherever you want in the middle of the road. Put them out and take them back up. And don't worry about taking them back up. It's just a cost of doing business.
All right. I'll definitely follow that then.
So what else you got?
Man, I just keeping like staying the mindset, like keeping focused, and like, you know, what other podcasts and stuff that you could recommend just to keep my mindset and the momentum going, because I got this first one and I want to get the second one as, you know, quick as possible.
Yeah, and you should want to get it as quick as possible. And the only thing that's going to get it quick as possible is you take the time, you take a day or two, you plan out what you're going to do, which we talked about, okay?
Yeah.
And then you're going to execute it, and you're going to stay with it for a few months, and you're going to stay consistent. So if you're going to do a certain type of marketing where you're going to go get the tax list, do it every time, the same time. Put out your bandit signs the same at every time. You want to continue to grow your buyers list, okay? And because did you buy the list when you reverse engineered the hottest sales?
No, I didn't buy the list.
Okay, so we're gonna gear that up for you. You're gonna buy the list, and that's gonna show you your cash buyers in the area. Okay, you're gonna have their name, and then you're gonna skip trace them, and then you're gonna put those people on your email list and your text blast list, right? Because another way to get properties out there fast is text blast. Okay.
Okay.
And I'll show you about that as well too.
All right.
So, man, I think you're in a good position. I think you want to keep listening to podcasts, keep active in the Facebook group, keep listening to YouTube. Have you jumped on what's this podcast name? Wholesaling Inc.
Was that with Tom Kroll? I have to subscribe to them.
Yeah, that's with Tom Kroll. So that's I think that's a good one. Just every morning you wake up, do the same thing, get into a routine, and I promise you your deal's going to come.
Definitely. Cool? I'll definitely do it. Yes.
Cool. So, here, and the reason, and this is cool because I wanted to do this podcast, and this is like a real life Q&A questions, just one-on-one with me and Kareem. And I just wanted to thank Kareem for coming on. Thank everybody out there for listening, because this is where a lot of people are. He's been working for a year. He's got his first deal. He's got $20,000 in the bank now. Now he wants to deploy that money very strategically and smart. And I'm glad he's reaching out to the right people to do it. And I hope it's just not me. He's calling some other people as well. But you're on the right path, man. You've done what a lot of people wish they can do. You made your entire year's salary in 4 hours worth of work. And congratulations to you. This is just proof and testament that anybody, right? Anybody can do wholesaling. Kareem did it. I did it. You've seen other people on my podcast. They do it. It's true out there. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. Kareem can show you that. It took him a year. But he's here now. Kareem, do you have an Instagram or anything like that?
Yes, I have an Instagram. My Instagram is KDNY95.
KDNY95. All right, guys and girls, everybody, I really appreciate you coming and watching this podcast, listening to this podcast if you're on iTunes and Spotify. I will see you again next week. And congratulations to Kareem. Go follow him and make sure you subscribe. Hit the like button. I would want to say, listen, if you're listening to this on iTunes, please take the time to rate this podcast, leave a comment. It really helps us rank higher, and I would really appreciate that. And you know what? I'll pick a random person that leaves a rating, and we'll jump on a free call, and we'll talk about some of your problems. But Kareem, once again, congratulations. Keep kicking, you know what, and taking names. And I'm sure we'll talk again soon. Wholesaling Houses Elite member, I will see you very shortly. And thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to the Wholesaling Houses Elite podcast with Maxwell. Make sure to tune in next week to see what elite wholesaler we'll have in the hot seat.